Ladies and gentlemen.
Hi guys, welcome to the very first show for Love of the Mic. For Love of the Mic is dedicated to all of you freaking stand-up comedians. The best, the newbies, all of y'all. Mad respect for what you do. It's just a freaking amazing profession and you guys are freaking amazing at doing it. It takes a lot of guts and cojones to get up on stage in the first place. I've done it and it is not easy. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Now, I'm Manny.
Terrence.
And we want to talk a little bit about some stand-up stuff. Terrence, you talked about TK Kirkland.
Right.
Now, for those of you that don't know, TK Kirkland is he's a stand-up comedian. He does some pretty decent stuff out there. He's got one memorable bit, in my opinion. But Terrence, tell me about this interview or whatever that you heard regarding TK Kirkland.
It's a little bit controversial. He did an interview with DJ Vlad. And on DJ Vlad, and I'm gonna tell you about like what he said on the interview, but then he kind of backpedaled a little bit. So in the interview, like obviously, you know, as people who were out in the industry, were like rapping, singing in movies, and it's like you feel like when you believe in yourself, you feel like you're the best.
Right. And
TK Kirkland feels like he is an elite comedian. So he was talking about his research, his comeback to comedy, his upcoming comedy shows and stuff like that. But then he got asked about like what he felt about other, you know, top level elite comics out there. And one of the things that he said that I kind of, well, I didn't take offense about it, but I was like, you're shocked when somebody says something is just unbelievable. So he made a comment where he was talking about, they were talking about like the best stand-ups out there, and Delirious got mentioned. And he said that Delirious was not a great stand-up to him, and he gave props to Eddie Murphy because there's no way you could take away from Eddie Murphy, and it was like to where Eddie Murphy's swag in the Delirious stand-up. I was like, we got to see you know, a young black comedian came out young, you know, hungry, coming off SNL, and his style was different than we've seen from any other stand-up, going out there, him in his little red leather suit, and you know, doing the whole trip to the garden, and running out from backstage and coming out. So he gave him props on all of the whole presentation, but he said his comedy was weak, and I'm like, what? So he was saying Delirious has like the most quotable, like people can quote Delirious
exactly
verbatim.
How could you say something like that?
And but it's one of those things where like 50 Cent said it best. If you don't think that you're the best, if you don't think you're the best rapper, then you need to quit.
Stone Cold Steve Austin said the same thing.
And I assume that TK Kirkland felt the same way. And it's like, if you don't feel like you're the best comedian, then you need to quit.
But there is no way in hell that a person that's barely starting out, or a person that has kind of like not that much experience, can make a statement like that. Period.
I mean, he's been around for a while, so it's not like he just
but if you're okay, first of all, no. Okay, and even if he's done it for years, he's still an NXT to me. He hasn't come out. He hasn't done anything.
I'm so sorry.
He hasn't done anything to me. Not to me, but he has not done anything for me to actually freaking, you know, co-sign on what he's saying.
Right.
All right. First of all, let's just get this one thing straight right now. Okay. I would go with the Harlem Nights theory as far as Red Fox.
Oh, like the
Richard Pryor, the evolution of especially black comedy.
Okay.
Okay, but
the Mount Rushmore.
No, I wouldn't say that. That's a tough one because you go. You know, we'll talk about that in a minute. Right. Anyway, but you go with Red Fox, going on to Richard Pryor, that completely changed the entire freaking thing when it comes to stand-up comedy. You know, when he brought things that were political, he brought social issues, he brought all these different things, and it's funny that he he tied so well into the lower income bracket of African Americans back in those days, when he did not go through hard times at all, because there was money in his family, you know, with brothels and pool halls and all this other stuff. But he related so well to the people that were in those brothels, that were in those pool halls, that he can talk about it so freaking, you know, fluently. Right. So when you get it started out with Richard Pryor like that, moving it on to be a big influence that he was to every single black comedian, and they'll all tell you.
Yeah.
And Damon Wayans said it best: if you don't steal from Richard Pryor, you ain't funny. But Eddie Murphy considers live in concert, Richard Pryor live in concert, the best stand-up ever, and I agree 110% with him. So
live in concert or live on Sunset Strip?
Live in concert. Live in concert when he's with the red shirt and the black pants.
Okay.
You know,
I would probably go live on Sunset Strip.
No way. But anyway, you know, that's like the one. You know, that's the one that you base your whole freaking stand-up career on. You got to watch that one.
Okay.
And no, and to go into the Latin route, George Lopez, Why You Crying stand-up special was in Long Beach on the very stage that Richard Pryor did that special. So when you got that, you know, groundbreaking type of comedian, and then you have Eddie Murphy that takes it to another level, you know, with his swag, with his, you know, confidence. You know, how could somebody like that, like T.K. Kirkland, say something like that and be legit? Because you just can't. You got to know your role, like The Rock says.
Trust me, I think he was just. I think it's one of those things where he just felt like he was the best, and he was kind of downplaying other people who people would consider were the best, because he says
he's like Ja Rule.
He says some shit about Dave Chappelle. He says some. Oh, okay, sorry, and I'm cursing. I'm sorry. He says stuff about Dave Chappelle. He says some stuff about Chris Rock. He just kind of, and it's one of those things where like you hear at the first couple of things you want to be controversial, and you're like, okay, tell me your point. I'll hear it out. Blah blah. But then when you start going down legends, it was like, okay, dude, you're it's a bit. It's one of those things that you're doing just to prove a point. It's like, you know, these people aren't as good as you think. Kind of like, I mean, have you seen like some of the stuff that Cat Williams has been saying about, like with Kevin Hart, and he even mentioned stuff with Chris Rock. I apologize, I'm cursing so much in this video. Some things with Chris Rock and things. So this is one of those things where like we were just was saying, it was like if you're not believing that you're number one, it sounds like you need to give up. But it sounds like some of these guys are just, you know, saying these controversial things to get their names in the headlines. It definitely might be that. So.
And it also sounds like some of these guys are just freaking being haters, man, flat out. Like, let's talk about Cat Williams, okay? Cat Williams has one bit, and that's freaking Money Mike from freaking Friday After Next, and that's it. Other than that,
Cat Williams has a lot of things going on with Cat Williams.
Yeah, exactly. and you know, don't get me wrong, the guy is funny, and he's got some good stuff out there. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. And you know, I like Cat Williams and all, but it's funny how you said that he mentions Kevin Hart when he's pretty much the same. He's pretty much the same role. Plays up the whole freaking, you know, being short.
Right.
Kevin Hart plays Kevin Hart in every single freaking movie.
Yeah.
Cat Williams plays Cat Williams in every single freaking movie.
Cat Williams ain't been in a lot of movies.
Exactly. But you know what I mean, right?
I get it. So, but I think what Cat Williams mentioned. Excuse me. What Cat Williams mentioned when he was talking about the whole Kevin Hart thing is that he feels like Kevin Hart has one, and he does have the same stick too, but he feels like that he can make jokes about anything, and Kevin Hart can only make jokes about himself. Like, he plays to the whole thing. Yeah, I'm short. Yeah, you know.
Have you seen Seriously Funny?
For
Kevin Hart, Seriously Funny?
All right, okay.
That is probably, I would say top.
Full disclosure, I'm not a big Kevin Hart fan.
Okay, well, just give me a second, okay? Kevin Hart, Seriously Funny, is probably top 20. Not top 10, no way, but top 20 stand-up specials. Every single bit.
Kevin Hart, Seriously Funny is probably the only one that I can say I laughed to.
Right, and that, but regardless,
all the other
I'm not
Kevin
talking,
Hart
but I didn't say,
I did not laugh.
But I did not say, you know, laugh at my pain. All that. I'm not talking about those. Okay. I just said freaking Seriously Funny is a top 20, definitely top 20 freaking stand-up comedy show.
Okay.
Every single hit, especially the UFC fighter bit, every single freaking one hit. Cat Williams has maybe one the same thing. I mean, Laugh at My Pain to me was funny too, but I'm talking about as far as Kevin Hart.
The Pimp Chronicles.
The Pimp Chronicles and
it's Pimpin' Pimpin'.
No, the first one. What was the very first one?
It wasn't the Pimp Chronicles?
I can't even remember. I don't remember what it was. But he only
I thought it was the Pimp Chronicles.
He didn't have that. No. He didn't have that many either. I mean, he has some that he goes off and he says the N word too many damn times sometimes, and it just like it's okay. Kevin Hart, that one does have every single bit hit.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Cat Williams' bit doesn't always hit.
All right, same thing. Okay, when we think about stand-up comedians, their approach. Well, not even their approach, but they're defining stand-up. A lot of them only have one stand-up. Except when you get to, what's his name? He used to do Big Louie. What's the show? Louis C.K.? Louis C.K. That dude. Freaking hilarious. Louis C.K. is
awesome
hilarious.
At the Oscars.
As like everything Louis C.K. does is freaking hilarious. But we get so we look at Martin Lawrence. He only has one stand-up.
You're so crazy.
Yeah, that's it. He only has one.
As far as video, audio, talking shit is one of the funniest freaking one of the funniest bits I've ever seen. That freaking and the Funk It one was good too. As far as
I never heard any of the audio.
You never heard the audio?
But, I mean, there's a lot of comedians that like freaking I want to say Day, but
Mike Epps.
No, I hate him as a stand-up comedian.
I do not like Mike Epps.
I really hate him.
I like him as an actor better than I do.
Like he is one of those people, kind of like I'm sorry, I'm really stupid bad with names. Did Saturday Night Live, did George Bush.
Will Ferrell?
Will Ferrell, thank you. Will Ferrell is a great comedic actor, not a great stand-up comedian.
And I agree 100% with that. I agree 100% with that. But when you're talking about these guys, I mean, especially when you say that T.K. Kirkland blasts Chappelle, he
blasted a lot. I think he was just trying to make a point.
And I'll just say right now, Dave Chappelle is flat out the smartest comedian I have ever heard.
And do you know, like, most comedians say that Dave Chappelle is what they're like, why are we not this funny?
Okay, you search YouTube, search a Kevin Hart interview where they're working out, him and Chris Rock are working out on stage. Chris Rock goes up.
Oh yeah, and they say it. It was like,
Chappelle goes up and just flat out, Chappelle goes up and says, "Hey, what, y'all working out?" "Yeah, we're working out." Chappelle goes up, hits his freaking whole bit, and they toss their work. They toss it away because Chappelle's that freaking good. So, as of right now, I think that on level with Pryor, Chappelle is really freaking close. Had he not, which I think he was a victim of his own success when it comes to the Chappelle Show. First of all,
some people can't handle that type of success.
I think that he made fun of or talked about the stereotype and the whole issue as far as racism and all that so much when he started doing Black Pixie and all that. He got that response from the crew member that was laughing really hard, the white guy that was laughing really hard, and it made him pretty much want to stop right there. Mm-hmm. That was a victim of his own genius, of his own success. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of his fault in a way. I hate to say that. I love Chappelle, don't get me wrong, but I say that because it's kind of in a way his genius was just, it triggered a reaction that he got from the wrong person, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Ari Spears also did an interview, and he said that Dave Chappelle wasn't really accepted in the hood, or wasn't accepted with black people until the Chappelle Show. But he said that he was more accepted by white America as a comedian than he was with black people until we got to the Chappelle Show, and that's when he actually got on with black people or with more minorities.
Well, that's interesting you say that, considering that Killing Me Softly was before the Chappelle Show. But the way Killing Me Softly is definitely a top 10 comedy show.
According to this is Ari Spears talking. This is not me talking. This is Ari Spears talking. And he was saying that like when Killing Me Softly came out, when Half Baked came out, he was saying that. And I watch a lot of interviews. If there's a comedian being interviewed, I like watching those interviews because I like to see the industry and how they feel about things, because we don't really get too much insight from them and outside of their actual stand-up. And with their stand-up, it's more along like, I'll make an event or story seem funny, and instead of really revealing more about who I am as a person and what I think. So I like seeing interviews with actual comedians in that light. So when he said that, I was like, I never thought that, because I followed Chappelle back then too, and I was like, hey, I mean, when he did Blue Streak, when he was a bit player on things, I was like, I was a big Chappelle fan too, but that's the way he felt, and he felt like that's the way the culture felt about Chappelle. So it was something enlightening to know that another comedian saw him that particular way. But even he said that we look at Chappelle as like Chappelle's basically kind of a genius, and it was like he is something that most comedians aspire to.
Well, the thing with Chappelle is that his parents are so freaking highly educated. I mean, they're like very highly educated. So he's a very smart comedian, and I think that's what makes him so freaking good, because he a lot of his style and the topics that he says is very Pryor-esque. He's a lot like Pryor, but to this day. Yeah. To this modern day. And I had just held up Ari Spears' Hollywood Look Up Smiling. Yeah. Right. Awesome stand-up show. Top 20, maybe.
Okay, so before we go on, do you want to go into what we feel is our top 5 stand-ups?
You want to go stand-up? Okay, let's talk about it. Well, first of all, just all shows, no matter what. I mean, whether you bomb or not, to get up on stage and do that kind of thing and make that kind of connection with the audience is not easy. It's really, really not easy. But those that have gone on to do it and have succeeded in it, you know what? They're the best. So let's get into our top 5.
By the way, I don't have 5 stand-ups, but...
Well, okay, well, I want to see, because you mentioned this, and now I have always been conflicted with the Mount Rushmore. Okay. I can't do it. I cannot do it.
All right, I'm not going to do
We won't do Mount Rushmore yet.
I'll do stand-ups. I just got to figure out my
we will do the top 5 stand-up shows or comedians.
Shows. We're not going to do comedians.
Okay, we'll wait that for another time.
We'll do shows.
Today we're going to do, in honor of T.K. Kirkland.
Okay.
And his interesting perception, and Cat Williams too, interesting perceptions. But we're going to really tell you the real top 5 of stand-up comedy shows. So, Ted!
No. Manny!
Oh, Manny! I'm going first on this one.
Going first on this one.
All right. So, my number 5 stand-up comedy show of all time is, I'm going to actually go Damon Wayans, Still Standing.
Okay.
Damon Wayans, Still Standing. The way he used props and how he did it to tell his story and set his spots and hit his bits was just absolutely freaking hilarious. It's just so damn funny to me. I cannot help it. But Damon Wayans was in top form when it came to that one. Now, he had left for a little while to do movies, and he makes fun of it in the show. But when he comes back, I mean, I just thought that show was just one of the best. Number 4 is George Lopez, Why You Crying? Now, I was actually conflicted with Mambo Mouth, because John Leguizamo's Mambo Mouth is one of the best freaking shows I have ever seen.
It's good the first time.
But George Lopez's Why You Crying had so many different elements to it, like being on the same stage that Richard Pryor was on, being the first Mexican American to freaking be on Showtime and do that show. It kind of hit home for me. So to see him on there, amazing. I had to give him that. Number 3, Sam Kinison, Breaking the Rules. Sam Kinison is one of the best comedians to ever freaking hit the damn hardwood stage and touch the microphone. He was a freaking ex-Rev, came out and he blew it up. And thank goodness for freaking Rodney Dangerfield, because without Dangerfield, Sam Kinison, Seinfeld, Townsend, Dice, all these guys would not exist. So I love you, Rodney, but that freaking special, amazing. I love that. Number 2, Chris Rock's Bigger and Blacker. Every single freaking point that Chris Rock makes in that particular one was just freaking awesome. He was excellent in everything, from the Clinton thing to the freaking, I mean, just everything was awesome about it. Bring the Pain was great because he had the black versus N-word type freaking thing. That was freaking hilarious. But it was Bigger and Blacker that actually you can just see how crisp he was getting in his delivery and the things that he was talking about. Bigger and Blacker was the best. And of course, the number 1 for me is Richard Pryor live in concert. You know what? that is like the freaking that's like a how-to book. That's like a how-to manual when you want to be a stand-up comedian. You have to watch Richard Pryor live in concert. Very first one when he's in Long Beach, when he actually opened for Patti LaBelle. Well, it was just amazing, and any freaking comedian will tell you that that is the number one. So, Terrence, your turn.
All right, so I was thinking about it because this is such a hard. This is a difficult one, but I'm gonna take it in what I normally watch. If I'm gonna watch a stand-up, and I want to add other ones in here. Like I'm a big Louis C.K. fan.
Hilarious. That guy is so funny.
Dude, but it's one of those things I can't even narrow down a stand-up that I love more than another one. It was like I wish I could just put him on like my 5 Louis C.K. stand-ups because.
Well, Louis C.K. wrote for Chris Rock show.
Oh, really? Okay, because that dude is just
hilarious. He's funny.
Hilarious.
Very funny.
And he gets so like controversial, and it's just like, but he makes you laugh in his controversial nature. All right, but he's not gonna be on my list. He's not gonna be on my list.
Top 10 at least.
All right, he's definitely top. Definitely top. He's 6 through 10. He's 6 through 10 his stand-ups. But I'm gonna put something that's gonna be a little different, only because that I continuously watch this stand-up, and I don't know why I'm so drawn to the stand-up. But Daniel Tosh.
Hey, Daniel Tosh is funny, man.
Daniel Tosh's stand-up is hilarious.
That dude is freaking hilarious.
And I didn't think, I was watching his show, I didn't think that I would actually care about his stand-up, but I watched his stand-up, and I watched that stand-up over and over and over again. That is such a great stand-up to me. Number 4, I'm going to go, man, and I struggle with this one, but I'm going to go Killing Me Softly.
I agree. I mean, it's amazing. It's definitely my top 10.
I'm gonna go Killing Me Softly, and I love Dave Chappelle didn't put out on video or release like a lot of his stand-ups because I know that he's a real guarded with his material. Mm-hmm. So it really that I know of is only got 2 stand-ups. So and
for what it's worth,
for what it's worth, and Killing Me Softly. But he does a lot of stand-up, but he just doesn't release it all. So these 2, I mean. Killing Me Softly, there's nothing wrong with that one. It was like he introduced you to a lot of people in his life, and it's just a hilarious stand-up. So if you ever get a chance to see it, if you haven't seen Killing Me Softly, watch Killing Me Softly. Number 3, man. This is such a hard one.
It's freaking awesome, man. I love it. This is a freaking awesome show.
Here's the thing, it was like, because I want to include multiple comedians, but I want to say like just comedians that had multiple stand-ups that are really, really awesome.
Yes, they did. A lot of them, but some good ones.
So I'm gonna go Bring the Pain. I'm gonna go Bring the Pain.
Great choice
as number 3.
Great choice.
And I know you said you picked Bigger and Blacker over, but I think Bring the Pain. Dude, I don't miss it. I can't remember a joke that didn't freaking work in Bring the Pain.
I mean, but I just think that Bigger and Blacker was more crisp. I think that
and it may have been, but
he did not stumble in it. He did stumble a little bit here and there on Bring the Pain. Bigger and Blacker was just crisp. I mean, his topics were on point. His freaking delivery was great, and his tone in his voice and how he used different spots was just freaking spot on. That's why I say that.
I think for me with Bring the Pain and Bigger and Blacker is that with Bring the Pain he set the bar, and with Bigger and Blacker it was like he did great, but because he set the bar so high, I was expecting like, dude, you need to surpass that. And even though it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you made a Thriller album, but then you made the Billie Jean album you made a bad album. Bad wasn't bad, but it wasn't Thriller.
And you think Bring the Pain is Thriller?
Bring the Pain was Thriller.
I think Bigger and Blacker was Thriller. Actually, I think Bring the Pain was Off the Wall. Okay, go.
Disagree on that one. Okay, Number two. I'm gonna go Raw.
Great choice.
I'm gonna go Raw. And we had a discussion a little bit about Eddie Murphy and his stand-up and his actual his impact on the comedy and the culture itself.
I would probably go that. And it's funny because we were talking about Delirious and it wasn't even in my top 5. But Eddie. I think Eddie is partly responsible for the Def Jam era.
Yeah, he definitely is.
You know, I think Martin
because the Def Jam era was based on that.
I think Def Jam. I think Martin took Def Jam. I think he took the baton from Eddie for Def Jam. and gave it to Bernie Mac, Robin Harris, Chris Tucker. But Eddie's the one. I think that Eddie started Def Jam a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we got minorities on stage, and telling cultural jokes, telling things about like life and growing up, and comedians have done that forever, for generations and things of that sort. But this kind of gave a different spin on it. And Raw was basically a continuation of Delirious and giving more insight into Eddie Murphy's family and things that he's gone through and his impact on culture in general, like how coming off of Delirious, how things changed in his life, and even people he made fun of in Delirious, and how he continued on with that with Bill Cosby and Mr. T and things of stuff from Delirious. But with that being said, we get to number one, Delirious.
Are you kidding me?
Delirious.
You're gonna put Delirious before Richard Pryor live in concert? There's no Delirious without Richard Pryor live in concert.
It was really tough. And my
I am completely shocked.
What it was is that I wanted to include Daniel Tosh because I think he needed to be. I think he deserves some recognition because I would have
put him in top 10.
I don't think he,
well, maybe top 20
I don't
for
think
me.
he gets recognized as a comedian as much as he gets recognized
for
as
his
a
Top
host.
Point show.
Yeah,
Top
and
Point
he is a good comedian, so that was my whole thing. So that's the reason why I put him at number 5. I would have put Richard as number 5 to be honest, but I wanted to give.
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm thinking about it. You didn't put Pryor at all
on my list. Yeah, I know.
Top 5.
I know. I did.
Obviously, I know he's in your top 10, but
dude, he's
top 5
in this list.
Wow.
In this list.
Wow.
In this list.
Wow.
Of stand-ups. We're not talking about comedians of all time. In this list of stand-ups.
Yeah, your top 5 stand-ups.
I took the
comedy shows.
stand-ups that I watched.
So you're talking about comedy. You're just looking at it
what
from
I
a
watched
comedy
the most.
show.
What I watched the most.
And not
what I watched
comedians.
These are the 5 stand-ups I watched the most.
Tosh over Pryor. You heard it here first.
I watched Daniel Tosh more than I watched Richard Pryor. I'm sorry, but
that is freaking insane.
I love that stand-up, and I was like, sorry,
I am officially blacker than you.
By the way, dude, I have 4 black comedians. I have 3 black comedians and 4 black stand-ups. So
I'm just kidding. I got a Latino and a white guy. What are you
exactly. About? And so I will say that Delirious set it up like how I think Bring the Pain is better than Bigger and Blacker. Delirious is better than
Delirious is better than
tough one. Delirious is better than Rock.
You know what? I want to listen. We want to listen to yours.
Delirious is because Delirious has some controversial content to it, and
for its time.
For its time, it was fine. But in this day and age, I mean,
no, it was controversial for its time.
If you watch Delirious now, you'll be like cringing, like,
yeah,
oh my God, I can't believe you said that.
AIDS was brand new.
Yeah,
then, so that's why I say that for its time.
If you take it for the jokes that he gave in the context of the jokes, and it was like that, it was genius. It was absolute genius. Wow. And Robert Townsend and Keenan Ivory Wayans, and they all helped write that. It was like that. You can't get better than that. You can't get better than that. It's like thinking about like the Belichick freaking coaching tree and how Mangini went out this way, and dude, that's what it is. It was like you see these great comedians help write this great stand-up.
Well, they wrote Raw. Robert Townsend directed Raw. Keenan wrote Raw.
Okay.
Eddie wrote Delirious.
I'm gonna put the credits.
All right. Anyway, well, we want to know who your
because they wrote.
Actually, what your top 5 stand-up comedy shows of all time are. We're big fans of stand-up comedy, and like I said, it was it's a hard thing to do, but much love to everybody. So until episode 2. We're gonna get into top 5 actual comics of all time. So
yeah,
for
Daniel Tosh on my top 5.
I'm Manny.
Terrence,
and that was For Love of the Mic.